Welcome to my body as well. If you've suddenly started reacting to foods you've eaten your whole life, breaking out in hives, flushing after meals, feeling anxious, foggy, or short of breath, this video is going to connect dots that most people never hear explained. Because what you're experiencing is usually not a true allergy, and it's rarely just anxiety. In this video, you're going to learn why histamine intolerance often appears in adulthood, what role your liver and metabolism play in triggering these reactions, and why cutting out more and more foods often make things worse instead of better. I'm also going to explain why fatty liver, blood sugar instability, stress, and histamine intolerance are deeply connected, and what actually helps calm the system without extreme detoxes or lifelong restriction. By the end of this video, you'll understand why your symptoms feel random and unpredictable, why allergy tests often come back normal, why your body isn't broken but overloaded, and what needs to happen first to restore balance and tolerance. If you've been confused by conflicting advice, frustrated by normal lab results, or afraid to eat because you never know how your body will react, this video is for you. Let's talk about what's really going on. If you watched my last video on fatty liver disease, what I'm about to share may finally explain a set of symptoms that have been confusing, frustrating, and honestly exhausting for a lot of people. Sudden reactions to foods you've eaten your whole life, random hives or itching that seem to come and go, flushing, anxiety, or a racing heart after meals, bloating, brain fog, shortness of breath, or feeling wired and overstimulated for no clear reason. And usually, when this happens, people are told one of three things: that it's allergies, that it's anxiety, or that it's just stress and part of getting older. But for many adults, and especially those dealing with metabolic stress, insulin resistance, chronic inflammation, or fatty liver, none of those explanations get to the real root of the problem. What's actually happening is something called histamine intolerance. And this does not mean you suddenly became allergic to everything, and it means your body can no longer clear histamine efficiently. And one of the most common reasons for that is a sluggish or congested liver. Histamine is a natural chemical your body produces every single day. It plays an important role in digestion, immune signaling, and communication between cells. It is not the enemy. In fact, you need histamine to survive. The issue is not histamine itself. The issue is clearance. Your body is constantly breaking histamine down and removing it from circulation. One of the organs responsible for that process is your liver. When your liver is healthy and supported, histamine is processed and eliminated quietly without symptoms. But when the liver is overwhelmed by excess fat, unstable blood sugar, chronic stress, inflammation, or hormonal load, histamine clearance slows down. Histamine begins to accumulate, and when that happens, symptoms appear. This is why histamine intolerance often feels like it comes out of nowhere. You didn't suddenly eat the wrong food, you didn't suddenly develop allergies. Your system simply reached a tipping point. If your liver has already been busy managing fatty infiltration, insulin resistance, elevated cortisol, or long-term stress, histamine becomes one more burden it can't keep up with, and think of it like a sink. As long as the drain is clear, water flows out easily. But when the drain is partially clogged, even a small amount of water causes overflow. That overflow is histamine intolerance. This is also why symptoms often worsen during periods of stress. Stress increases histamine release in the body. At the same time, stress suppresses digestion and liver detoxification pathways. So you are producing more histamine while your body is less able to clear it. That combination creates the perfect storm, and this is not random, it is not mysterious, and it is not in your head. Histamine intolerance is very often a downstream effect of metabolic and liver stress. And this matters because if you only focus on avoiding foods, you never address the reason your body is reacting in the first place. Histamine intolerance does not behave like a classic allergy. There is no single trigger. Reactions are inconsistent. One day you tolerate a food, the next day you don't. One meal feels fine, another leaves you anxious, itchy, flushed, or exhausted. That inconsistency is one of the biggest clues that this is not a true allergy. People with histamine overload often report flushing or redness of the face and chest, random hives or itching that appear suddenly and disappear just as quickly, a racing heart or palpitations after meals, anxiety that spikes without warning, brain fog, difficulty concentrating or feeling disconnected. Digestive symptoms are common: bloating, reflux, nausea, loose stools. Some people experience shortness of breath or a tight feeling in the chest. Others feel wired but exhausted at the same time. And very often, standard lab work comes back normal. That can be incredibly frustrating because conventional testing does not measure histamine clearance capacity. It does not assess how well your liver is handling inflammatory load, and it rarely connects these symptoms back to metabolic stress. This is why so many people feel dismissed or misunderstood. But when you zoom out and look at the whole system, the pattern becomes very clear. Fatty liver, insulin resistance, chronic stress, gut inflammation, and histamine intolerance frequently travel together. They are not separate conditions. They are different expressions of the same underlying imbalance. The liver sits at the center of this network. It processes hormones, toxins, inflammatory byproducts, and histamine. When the liver becomes congested or sluggish, everything downstream is affected. This is also why aggressive detox programs often make histamine symptoms worse. When you push an already stressed liver to dump toxins quickly, you increase circulating inflammatory compounds, including histamine. The nervous system interprets this as danger. Stress hormones rise, symptoms intensify. That is why jumping into random cleanses or extreme protocols can backfire, especially if you already feel reactive or inflamed. Healing does not happen through force, and it happens through support. If you are dealing with histamine intolerance, the goal is not to eliminate histamine forever. The goal is to reduce the load while restoring clearance. That means two things must happen at the same time. First, the liver needs gentle, consistent support so it can resume its role in processing histamine effectively. Second, the overall histamine burden needs to be temporarily reduced so the system can calm down. This is where many people get stuck. They focus only on restriction. They eliminate food after food after food until eating becomes stressful and fear-based. That approach creates more stress, and stress increases histamine. Instead, the goal is stabilization. Supporting the liver is foundational. Nutrients like milk thistle help regenerate liver cells and protect against oxidative stress. Amino acids like glycine and taurine support bile flow and detoxification pathways without forcing the system. N-acetylcysteine supports glutathione production, which is critical for liver and cellular detoxification. Berberine helps stabilize blood sugar, reducing one of the primary drivers of fatty liver and metabolic overload. Bile supportive compounds help keep metabolic waste moving instead of backing up. I've linked my favorite high-quality liver support supplements in the description below. These are the exact ones I trust for purity, absorption, and consistency. At the same time, temporarily lowering dietary histamine gives your system breathing room. This is not a forever diet. It is a therapeutic pause. Foods like aged cheeses, alcohol, fermented foods, cured meats, and certain leftovers tend to be higher in histamine. Reducing these temporarily lowers the amount of histamine entering the system while your liver recovers. What's critical is that this is done while still eating enough: stable meals, adequate protein, gentle fats, consistency. When the nervous system feels safe, digestion improves. When digestion improves, liver signaling improves. When liver function improves, histamine clearance improves. This is why histamine intolerance often improves when people address liver health, blood sugar regulation, and stress together instead of chasing symptoms individually. And this is also why many people feel better when they stop pushing and start supporting. If you recognize yourself in this pattern, I want you to hear this clearly. Your body is not broken. You did not suddenly become fragile. And you are not imagining your symptoms. Your system is overloaded, not defective, and overload can be reversed. Healing starts with understanding the why. When you understand that histamine intolerance is often a clearance issue rather than a true allergy, everything changes. You stop fighting your body, you stop fearing food, and you start working with your physiology instead of against it. If you want additional support as you calm inflammation and restore balance, you can also download my Body Reset Guide linked below. It's designed to help your system feel safe again while your liver and metabolism recover. In the next video, I'll break down which foods tend to increase histamine load, which foods are generally better tolerated, and how to build meals that support calm digestion while your liver heals. If you've ever felt worse after eating foods that are supposed to be healthy, you'll want to see that one. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Healing is possible. Be patient with your body, support the system, and the symptoms follow. And thanks for being here, and be well.